A lot of people have asked me to make a video about Donald Trump and what role that he plays in our current political divide. This is that video. Trump, in my opinion, is a problem for this country. Sure, he can be funny sometimes. I'll give him that. But is it worth the division that he brings along for the ride? In my book, The Fracture, I don't list very many people by name, but there are a few that I truly feel have contributed to this deep divide in our country. At the top of that list sits Donald Trump. If he's the king of anything, he's the king of division. And it's not just a division between red versus blue or Democrats and Republicans. He divides even within his own party. You can take the 2022 midterm elections as an example of this. What should have been a landslide victory for the Republicans turned into the Democrats taking the Senate and the Republicans barely keeping the House. The Republicans barely kept hold of the House because people perceived Trump endorsed representatives to be a problem in the country, and they were tired of the chaos. Unfortunately, there is no escaping Trump. Politicians that I once admired, like Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat representative from Hawaii, and J.D. Vance, Republican representative from Ohio, have been tainted by his shadow. They're not the only ones affected by this taint, but they're the ones that were closest to my heart. Tulsi used to be the kind of Democrat that I could get behind. She was active military, was a strong leader, and had reasonable ideas, except for maybe her view on the Second Amendment. She was even my choice for the 2020 election, but then the Democrat Party decided to sideline her. Now, she just feels like a completely different person, kind of like a Black Mirror version of herself. And then there's J.D. Vance, a man from Appalachia, much like myself. He's smart, he's thoughtful, and he's grounded. I helped to vote him into the Ohio Senate in 2022, but now he's just another internet meme, a politician who flew too close to the Trump sun. I don't think either of these representatives are irredeemable for this. I just think that they've been tainted by Trump. There was a time when America was led by representatives whom the public trusted and respected. They acted with at least some level of professionalism. You have people like Ulysses S. Grant, who was surrounded by controversy throughout his administration, but was respected for his honesty and his leadership abilities. Then you have Ronald Reagan, who dealt with the Iran-Contra affair with professionalism, and the public respected him for that. There's also Bill Clinton, who had the Monica Lewinsky scandal that happened in the White House. People still respected him. All of these presidents were surrounded by scandals and corruption, but the public still respected them because they handled themselves professionally. Unfortunately, those days are gone. Donald Trump wadded them up and threw them right in the trash. And what he replaced professionalism and traditional values with is more akin to a reality TV show. To him, everything is a show. He's an entertainer, and we're the audience. Every speech he gives feels like it's either meant to rile up his base or enrage his opponents, and he's an expert at it. He turns our frustrations into pure hatred. And while other politicians whisper sweet nothings in your ears filled with lies, Donald Trump shouts directly in your ear with a megaphone. Let's take deportation as an example. Every president in history has deported people from the United States of America. There's a link to the chart that I'm showing on the screen in the description below. Trump's numbers are not wildly different from any previous president. As a matter of fact, if you look at this chart, Joe Biden deported more people than Trump ever did. The problem with Trump is the way that he talks about it. No matter what his intent, it's dehumanizing. And when you stop seeing people as humans, you stop treating them as humans. History has taught us this lesson very gruesomely. This kind of rhetoric and division is exactly what I wrote about in The Fracture, and exactly the reason why I called out people on both sides of the political aisle. We're being pitted against each other like animals. Trump is the ringmaster in America's political circus, waving a flag and shouting through a megaphone, cheering us on to fight each other. And what's the worst part? We keep lining up in this circus show and buying the tickets. And I feel like these pictures of King Trump being generated are also a source of division. I feel like the left used them to try to make a statement, and they feel like it's going to offend the right. Unfortunately for them, I feel like this tactic is mostly ineffective. Sure, some people on the right are going to argue that Trump's not a king, but most people are just going to repost it, whether they think it's funny or they're trying to make the other side mad. The problem is whether you're trying to make someone mad or not by posting this, it does. And it creates a vicious cycle where it just keeps getting posted and reposted. Regardless of intentions, unfortunately, this sort of childish rhetoric evolves and becomes part of culture. As you can see here, there's an entire market based around selling memes of Donald Trump on merchandise as a king. Unfortunately, as ideas like this propagate, they become more accepted in the general public, and eventually they'll become a reality. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against memes. I think they're funny, and the ones about J.D. Vance are actually pretty funny and harmless. But speaking of things becoming reality whenever you embrace them, well, here's a good example. So, do I think Donald Trump is a fascist king? No. If he were, I wouldn't be able to create this video, and you wouldn't be able to disagree with me in this video. We also wouldn't be able to have protests like No King's Day or any of the other ones that are going on, seems like every day these days. He's not a king. He's a loud man who likes attention, and we keep giving it to him. It's time to stop letting entertainers run this country like it's a stage. Because the show might be entertaining, but the cost of admission is tearing us apart. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to understand more about how division like this is tearing us apart and how we can fix it, please buy my book, The Fracture.